you a fan of success stories as I am, then you'll definitely want to listen to this. This former, really busy, almost burnt out urologist took one of my courses and implemented it, and now has a very successful internet business along with a whole bunch of multiple streams of income. She'll actually be speaking at our upcoming event, BootcampMD. She's a repeat guest, and she's an incredible person. So today we've got Dr. Nana Korsah on this episode of Bootstrap MD. Hey guys, this is Dr. Mike Wimig with Bootstrap MD. Hope you're doing well. We are having another repeat guest on the show. We got Dr. Nana Korsah. And Nana, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me back.
Actually, your interview that I did was probably my most downloaded episodes on our podcast. So your story kind of really resonated with our listeners. So congrats to you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad that people can relate to my story.
Yeah, that's great.
I hope people can learn from that and get nuggets out of it and apply to their lives now.
Well, you're also very easy to interview and got an interesting story. I'm going to, for those who have not heard the podcast, I invite you to go check out that episode. I'll just give you a quick bio about yourself, give you a proper introduction. Dr. Nana Korsah is a former nephrologist. She turned a locum hospitalist, board certified in internal medicine, and she's got a few side gigs. She's a telemedicine physician. She's a certified life and financial coach. She helps physicians who want to pay off their debt, and live wealthy lives quicker. She helps physicians who want to enjoy the lives they sacrifice so much to create and they don't know where to start, which is like most of us. And she helps them build wealth and say yes to the lives they may want. And first off, thank you for getting on the podcast. I know life has been a lot busier for you since our last interview. So tell me what's been going on. What's been going on that's been keeping you busy?
Whew, where do I start? Yeah, so since the last time we talked, and like I now have a lot going on in terms of being on social media. I have a Facebook group for women physicians who are for multiple streams of income. Thanks to the very first Bootstrap MD conference you did, I was not able to make it. However, thankfully, you had the course, right? The recordings from that, and that has been life-changing for me. And that gave me the understanding that I need to come from an abundance place instead of scarcity place. I created a group where people could be themselves and do whatever they want. Basically on the entrepreneurial journey, right? Yeah. Like the tank, like start from ideas to coming up with your business and getting the chance to sell in the group. Like today we're having a Labor Day special, so that's always fun. I like to shop in there when that's happening. And then on top of that, kids are transitioning back to school, so it's been like back to school kind of mayhem around here.
Same here. It was chaos just this morning as usual.
Yes, things are back to chaos. And I also recently joined a direct sales company, Niara Skincare Wellness Company, and that's been an exciting and quite a thrill to work for that company. It's been quite a ride, and within less than 4 months, I've met all the criteria that I need to meet to get every prize they have in my way.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And so
we want to delve it. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So it's been amazing. And then I'm also getting ready for the amazing conference you have that's coming up in October. And, you know, I am super excited to get the chance to speak at that event and share my entrepreneurial journey. And yes.
Yeah, first first of all, thank you for agreeing to invite you to speak. Like I said, it was one of the most downloaded episodes that we've had. And, your story really resonates with a lot of people. So we're going to be talking about today, maybe just kind of giving you a sneak preview of what we're talking about. And it's something that, I've been online for a while, and I still remember those days of actually transitioning from, seeing patients, 50 to 60 hours a week to then being on my own and then having to figure out how to generate an income on my own. And it can be daunting. And for many, it can be very scary. And for most doctors, just even the thought of doing that, gives them chills. So I know, this is all, pretty new to you, but how did you start making that transition, working from home, for yourself as opposed to working with some big hospital?
So the transition started about 4 years ago when I was that burnt out physician that
Right.
had no idea what to do with her life. And through podcasts, I discovered the coaching industry, and then I worked with a coach. And she helped to expand my vision as to what my life could look like. In fact, I'm living the life that I never thought I could have. I didn't think I could I never dreamed of this life. But by working with her, it expanded my vision. And so when I worked with her, we explored ways that I could work outside of medicine. At that time, I was thinking certified financial planner who works virtually. That's XY Planning Group. I love them because everything is done virtually. But after she was done with me and I came out of my burnout, and I was so excited about the changes I had that I decided to do financial and life coaching instead to have more of a holistic approach. And as you know, most life coaches work virtually now. So that's when the seed got planted. And then I was still doing locums, and I was still dabbling in real estate. But fast forward to last July, I moved to Dallas. And it was because my husband got a job, we had to move here quickly. And I didn't have my Texas license yet. And I was like, I'll find a locum gig somewhere. It did not pan out well. My license took forever. Right. And last November was like the pee in the pants moment for me when I was like, oh my God, I don't have a locum gig. And I was trying to grow my coaching business, and it was still a baby. A baby can't feed a family, right? So it was quite scary. I had to dip into my emergency fund, which for me, based on my personality, that's the scariest thing ever. Although I have it, I really didn't want to dip into it. So at that time, I had my aha moment. I was like, oh my goodness, I need to find ways that I could work from home. If I should ever move again, I don't have to deal with finding another job or going through a point where I'm thinking, oh, now I have to use my emergency fund, or even worse, my emergency fund disappearing. So I did a lot of research, and in groups like Non-Clinical Career Hunters, I really love that group, and other Facebook groups, and including your Facebook group. So I did research, and I found out those utilization review that you could do from home, and also medical legal expert, right? Most of the time you are by yourself reviewing files and giving in your input in a written form. And I also found out about, what else did I find? Direct sales, but I was like, oh, that's not really me. I don't know if I want to do that. Mm-hmm. I found out about telemedicine and even telehospitalists. And being that I was a locum hospitalist, I thought that would be a good fit. So let me look into that. So that was kind of exciting because 4 years ago, I tried the same search and came up with nothing. So I was like, okay, this is good. I could do this. So I applied to utilization review jobs. I applied to telehospitalist jobs. I applied to the telemedicine jobs with companies like MD Live and Teladoc. So I researched and I kind of went out there and applied to all of those. Unfortunately, most of the utilization review jobs fell through because they wanted me to do training away from home and with my kids in a new town. That was hard to do. So that did not work out too well for me, but at least I got to talk to recruiters, and I knew that people do talk about it all the time, but apparently it's viable, right? And then the telemedicine, the telehospitals, later I decided I don't want to do hospitals anymore. I think I've had enough. So I found out that MD Live and Teladoc, when you do telemedicine with them, it's more like a per diem thing, and you only work when you want to. They don't commit, they don't really tell you, make any promises to you, and you don't have to them either. And I like that better because that allowed me flexibility where I could drop the kids off, come home, see a few patients, do whatever I want, and then log in after they go to bed and still make money, right? So instead of my work schedule determining my life schedule, I get to flip it easily by doing that. And so that's been exciting for me. And a lot of people have been reaching out, and I've been sharing that with them. And then in May, when after I did your course, your original Bootstrap MD course, I had my aha moment about starting my own Facebook group. I'm like, I want to start a group where people can feel free to be themselves. And so I invited a lot of amazing women that already had multiple streams of income. And, you know, I started doing virtual coffee. As you know, I'm a severe introvert. So wish me luck when I come out. So I just like we're talking, instead of a podcast, I like to do virtual coffees with people. If I like somebody's vibe on Facebook, I'm like, hey, let's have virtual coffee, right? And then I get my mug and like, coffee time.
No swag on the cup today?
No, I do have one with swag. I didn't really think, well, I should have brought that one out. The one with the hashtag LexisPreneur and Mompreneur, yeah.
Yep, there you go. There you go.
Next time I'll bring it. So
that's yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's just so amazing now because every now and then I'll run into a doctor and says, I can't find any telemedicine jobs, and then I have others that's like, God, these seem to be jobs everywhere, and I really think it comes down to how much you're going to look. It sounds like you scoured the globe looking for jobs. Is that right?
That's what I did. I was a woman on the mission because I was like, right. I'm not going to spend down my emergency fund. This cannot be happening. So I was aggressively looking. And by doing that, though, suddenly so many options opened up for me. It took about 3 to 4 months for all of it to come together. But when it did, it was beautiful. Yeah. And
it really Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Talk to people. Like, people message me all the time. I give them my recruiter's information. And it's a done deal. You're going to apply and get the job, right? But I tell them MD Life takes 3 to 4 months. So you have to have a plan between when you apply and when it gets approved, right? Like the credentialing, because you cover for a lot of insurance companies. So in the groups, you ask questions, people answer. There are a plethora of resources in these Facebook groups. All you have, some people can't wait to share what they found. Most people can't wait to share. So just ask people. That's the fastest way to get there outside of getting a coach, really.
Yeah, and the thing is that most jobs are not advertised. It really comes down to they're not. I recently just completed doing some work for Medscape.
Nice.
And the only reason I got that is because I used to, I wrote for another pretty popular physician's journal, and he remembered me from the last time I worked there. And I just finished a course on social media for Medscape. And the only reason I got it is because it was just through networking, just because he liked me at one time and he remembered. But most of the time, I think for those doctors who are not out there, they're just scouring Indeed or maybe looking at some of the physician job boards. And most of the time, it's just putting yourself out there, like you said, getting and not the biggest fan of recruiters, but getting your name out there with people who are in that industry. And when when it comes time to taking money from your emergency fund or your savings, as opposed to finding a job, there are tons of jobs out there, and more companies are realizing doctors want to work from home, and you're not limited by having a job just in Dallas or just in San Diego. You've got now the world ahead of you, and most of the doctors who are out there don't realize how much technology has kind of changed in medicine, and how much we're now realizing, hey, we can do things now with a secure internet connection, with, just people want more convenience. People want to use their phone for communication, for their health. And it's really just putting yourselves out there. Would you agree?
I totally agree. It's a great time to be a physician with a laptop or a smartphone, because just with that, you could do telemedicine, utilization review jobs from home. And the cool thing is some of them are per diem and PRN. So if you want uber flexibility, that is available that way too. And putting yourself out there opens doors. I'm here today because a year ago, I decided to consistently show up on social media. By doing that, Maisha, who has been a virtual mentor of mine for years, reached out to me. And she was like, we're having a conference, girl, you're killing it, you need to come, right? And fast forward to now, she introduces me to you, and I'm here. But if I was hiding somewhere in my closet because I'm an introvert and not put myself out there, that wouldn't be happening. Same thing, I've gotten invited to podcasts, to speak to groups, and just because I'm putting myself out there consistently. So you cannot hide and succeed. You have to put yourself out there. And if you're an introvert, virtual coffees, posting on Facebook, doing podcasts, doing Facebook Lives, that's our zone of genius. It's not always putting ourselves out there in the community, but you can still do everything virtually and still succeed. For example, in my direct sales, which is, let's segue into that, like my non-clinical side gig, which is direct sales, I started that because Allison was in the group and she had virtual coffee with me. And she explained it to me. That's how I got it. But after I got that gig, I've built my team and sold just by being on Facebook and sharing my message. So I haven't really had to go out there. So physically, however, you could put yourself out there virtually. And the cool thing is it's global, international. Like I have people from Ireland, Germany, Norway reaching out to me saying, hey, I want to join your New York team. And because it's a global international brand, I'm able to have a multi-faceted international group that I'm working with. So really, literally the world is in our palms now, and it's only a message away, a Facebook post away, a blog away, a podcast away, you name it, right? I'm sure if you look at your podcast, you probably have an international following that you don't know about. Australians are notorious for listening to American podcasts.
Well, it was actually, in fact, it was interesting. In our first BootcampMD conference, we actually had someone from England coming in, and I had no idea how that happened. But yeah, just listen to a podcast, putting yourself out there.
Yeah, by doing that, next thing you know, you're global. I don't run Facebook ads for international audience, but when my American followers like it and their friends who are international see it, and they like my page, suddenly they are in my world, right? And so it's pretty amazing. When I started all of this, I didn't think it could be this much fun or it could work. But I'm here to say that it works. Just decide, commit, do the work, improve by 1% daily. Next thing you know, boom, you've had that compounding effect and things are working the way you wanted it. I am living the dream life that I never thought I needed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I woke up one day, I was like, this is pretty amazing. I get to be home all the time in my jammies if I want to be. And then when I get dressed up, it's because I'm doing a podcast or Facebook Live.
Yeah, one of the things I love, well, and my kids are older now, you know, they're so, Dad's not as cool as he used to be. But when I used to pick up my kids, you know, that for me, that was the life-changing thing for me, you know, when I left, you know, I was working full time. I never saw my kids, you know, from the first, you know, 5 or 6 years. You know, both my sons were born, like one was during residency or just soon after residency. And my dad was a doctor as well. And I didn't get to see much of him as I was growing up, and I didn't want to do that for my kids. And for me, and again, just picking up my kids, I was like one of the only 2 males there to pick up their kids. And that
I can understand,
that was huge for me. And now, you know, now they're bigger, and now, you know, they're off on their own. I don't see them anymore, but that's for them because they're out hanging out with their friends. But I got to spend more time with my kids, and I think we have a really good relationship. You know, my sons are my best friends, and just my wife, of course. But it is a great relationship that I don't think I would have been able to have if I was at the hospital all the time or taking call all the time. And for me, it's a really strong bond that I'm sure you've now gotten the benefits just having been in the hospital and now being more at home.
Absolutely. Having the awareness that I could do that and deciding and committing to that has caused me to get much closer to the kids. And my favorite moments are dropping them off in the morning and picking them up, right? That never used to be me. We had somebody, one of the teachers, pick them up and drop them off when I was working crazy hours. So they're early, like say the first 5 to 6 years, the only time I used to see them was after 9 p.m. when I got home. And so I let them stay up late because I was like, I need to spend time with them. So now it's really nice that I'm home with them all the time. I get to drop them off, pick them up. I'm there at all their activities. And I still get to make money doing that because I fit my work into the cracks of my days outside of my personal life. And so it's been life-changing that way. And I think it's totally priceless and so worth it. Even though the transition can be tough, it's so worth it. Because when I was transitioning initially, like I said, in last November, when I decided to go full swing with my coaching, and I didn't really have a doctor job, that was very scary. But that actually caused me to grow up. In addition to exploring non-traditional ways of practicing medicine, I also stepped up huge as a coach and as an entrepreneur. And now I'm happy to say that most of my income comes from my entrepreneurial ventures. And medicine is more of a PRN thing for me.
Medicine and PRN, I love it.
Yeah. That's that dream that I never knew I wanted. Yes, I get to live that. Yeah. So entrepreneurship, like you always preach, is a viable option. Is it easy? No. Is it a roller coaster ride? Yes. But is it worth it? Absolutely. You just have to decide, commit, and show up daily in it and talk to the right people, go to conferences like the one you're putting together. Watching your conference really transformed my business and my way of being in the world. And also hiring consultants and coaches. Some people like myself who are into debt-free living and building up wealth and seeing our zeros grow in our account. Give yourself permission to invest in things that will cause you financial freedom and will cause you to live the life that you want. So it's okay to spend on those things. Now, if you're going to spend on things that will be in the junkyard in 5 years, maybe not, but the information you get from these conferences and working with coaches and consultants are priceless. The information I got from your podcast, I mean, your BootcampMD course has catapulted my business, right? And my way of being in the world to the next, it has 10x'd it easily. Because I have like 1,600 women in the group that are amazing, and it's such a fun place to be. And also, I am showing up from a place of abundance, so I have much more people paying attention to what I'm doing. From, watching the conference as a course, and so being there live, I bet will be amazing. I can't wait to be there.
Oh yeah, we're already planning your coming. You already got a following. And I think I saw a post from you now that you're having a problem because you got too many friends. Isn't it? I think I saw something like that, and now it's harder because I know you're not as active in social media, and that's what kind of happens. Is when you're involved, and now you're just trying to fulfill all the obligations that you had now with students and all the other different activities that you've done because of what you did. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I think now I'm spreading myself thin. I'm in too many places. So it's time to exercise some constraint, and definitely I'm going to need to hire somebody to help. It's my days of a solopreneur are running out. I need help. So I'm going to be hiring people to help out. Definitely. Right. I think having a virtual assistant
You're right.
would be a good way to get a lot of my plate. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And we were just talking just before our interview is the first employee that I hired, first person I hired for my business was a virtual assistant because I hired one, I hired a few. One was American, and I hired some from the Philippines. And what's great was, for things that we do in an internet business, things like answering email, responding, scheduling appointments for your clients, making sure that you follow up if you're selling courses, making sure you got your customer support. Those are all things that I admit, of course we want to do our best, but customer support is one of the things because we get so bogged down that I wish I could have been faster on. And I made great sales of some of my courses, but the follow-up, wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. And having somebody there, now I have a physical living assistant, physical assistant, Jenny, who's been with me for 10 years and has been a blessing. But before then, I was having virtual assistants and, everything from answering email, doing customer support. You could use them for writing. You can use them for, if you're doing a podcast, setting up your podcast, setting up your YouTube videos, moderating your Facebook group. Those are all things that you can have. And if you have one from overseas, it can be pretty inexpensive for you. And it can just be part-time, just a few hours a week is where you could start with. So we'll talk more after that and probably more at the conference. But the great thing is, it's a good thing for you to have, is that you've got too much work, right? Right?
It's a good problem to have, but then you're like, oh, there's so much happening. I know this morning I was thinking, I usually plan my days ahead, but now I plan ahead, but then so much happens that I have to add on during the days that is kind of not working. So I'm like, oh, maybe I need to go back to to-do list every morning for now. But I need help. You're so right. Virtual assistant would do me a lot of good. And right. There are things I like to do, like get my YouTube channel going, have short videos on LinkedIn daily that I'm not doing because I just can't. Yeah. It's just too much. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, even something like, I'm sure you're familiar with like Fiverr.com or one of these types of sites.
Yes.
Where for $5, you can get, an article or like sometimes we'll get an audio transcribed or help me with a graphic. I'm not a graphic person. I use Canva, but if I want to get something more fancy, I'll hire somebody to do it from as low as $5. You can do simple tasks. And of course, there's no long term. You're just paying them for the task. And then if you decide it's just something that you use again and again, you can go ahead and hire a virtual assistant. So we're going to have to get on you on that.
I know. I need to do that. Maybe next time we talk, I'll be telling you how fabulous my assistant is.
Yes, I'm sure you will. So I know your time is limited. You got like 5 zillion things like myself that you have to do. So what was kind of the biggest thing that you learned from transitioning from, working in the hospital to working at home?
So the biggest thing I learned in transitioning is have a plan. When you're doing it, don't do it cold turkey like I did, because otherwise you might find yourself in a place where like, oof, thank goodness I had an emergency fund. But if I didn't, that could have been scary. I might have had to pull my kids out of private school for that reason, and that would have been bad. So have a plan, have an exit strategy, and follow that to achieve it. So you're not finding yourself in a place where you're a broke doctor. That's not fun. Also, being your own boss and being an entrepreneur and working from home means that you have to be disciplined about how you live your days. Social media can be a time and energy suck. So have a schedule for the day. And even if you don't follow to the T, it's a guideline you live by. So I usually plan my days ahead. The evening before, I chunk up the times, like in 90 minutes, an hour to 90-minute chunks. Like my mornings typically are like, 6:30 to 8, get kids ready to school and drop them off. 8 to 9, my hour of power, exercise, meditate, all that stuff. So that it's all planned ahead and there's no decision-making fatigue, and I just follow it. Otherwise, what happens is I end up on Facebook and not get anything done. So having a routine and a schedule and following it will make it easier for you. But if you don't do that, you just feel overwhelmed and feel like I have a lot to do, but I don't know what to do. And am I missing something? What's happening, right? So make a to-do list and actualize it by putting on your calendar the night before, and then the next day, just follow it. Let your calendar be the boss of you the next day. But you're still the boss of your calendar, so you can tweak it if something absolutely has to be tweaked. So that's been super helpful.
Yeah, one thing that's been helpful for me is, and whatever kind of motivates you, but like when you are like hustling, my thing is FP2C, which is fast path to cash. What type of activities should I be doing right now?
I'm taking notes on that one. Yes.
So it's like yourself, okay, what do I need to do? I could work on my online course, but that could take some time. But if I need to get money right now, I'll need to work. So getting my resume, start networking, going on non-clinical hunters, looking for jobs, writing things down, set up your locums. If you don't have your license and you move to a state, work on getting that license out, right?
Yes.
But the great thing about in medicine is we've got so many different opportunities, right? So it is an abundance, and I try to live my life in abundance. And once you got that set, we've got that income. I never tell people, don't quit your job and start an online business tomorrow.
Yeah.
Make that plan. Then it's like, we've got this income. I'm cool. Now, what can I do to generate income that's going to give me sustainable income over time?
Yes.
Setting up my coaching program, understanding my target market. That's when you start focusing on those things, creating courses, that stuff. And like you said, social media is a time suck. But write down, say, I'm just going to do 30 minutes on Facebook, have a timer and do something, because I know once you get in, and believe me, I get down that rabbit hole as well. It's like I'm on Facebook.
Cat videos and
oh gosh, yeah, we just got a new kitten, and my YouTube video is filled with. We have a golden retriever, and we just got a new kitten. So I got all of these dog cat videos that we're trying to that are just in my box, and this is so amazing. I'm just gonna watch this all day. I'm like, oh my god. but it does. And, you know, sometimes you have to, I haven't gone this extreme, but sometimes you have to get those, they have those extensions you can put in Chrome where it turns off access to Facebook or
Yeah.
whatever your social media is of choice. But it always comes back to what I need to do when you're hustling, what I need to do to make cash, and like,
Yes.
those. And then you can watch the cat videos later.
Exactly. I love that. I think I do that intuitively, but I hadn't thought of it yet. I always tell all my clients, do a customer acquisition activity daily, right? So with coaching and direct sales, that means reach out to people, talk to people, post. That's how you're going to get customers. Watching trainings and videos ain't going to do it. Or you could watch the training, and then you could say, I'm going to watch 1 hour of training, and then the next hour I'm going to implement it.
Right.
That way there's money coming in. So I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that acronym.
Yeah, FPTC.
Yes.
And the thing too, you mentioned about research. Of course, docs, we love to research. We research at the wazoo. But what happens is we spent 99 hours of research, and then they come to me like if I'm coaching them, and it's like, well, what happened? I didn't do anything. Well, did you implement? No, but I wanted to learn every single. I go back to your. Remember the do one, see one, teach one.
Yes.
At the end, you can only research so much. You got to be able to actually do it, and it can be scary, but like you said, it's putting yourselves out there. That's what's going to bring home the bacon.
That's true. Yeah, and every day you have to do something that will bring home the bacon. So it's like you decide and you follow through on it, and reach out to people, follow up. The riches are in the follow up. Your team does an excellent job, by the way, on following up. So that I love how
we're still working, but it's like just putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And like you said, is you don't, when you have to do your measures, it's like some people say, well, I want to make $1 million in the next year. Of course, we all do. But like, what are the steps that are actually going to happen? Well, if you know, like if I contact 10 people and let's say one person, you know, gets in your downline or whatever you're doing, okay, I will make a step. I won't get one person a day. I'll need to call 10 people. I'll need to reach out to 10 people, or I need to put a post on my Facebook group, or I need to start my Facebook group.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, that's how you do your metrics. Because it's just saying having a monetary goal with no plan isn't a plan at all, right? So
correct. That's a wish.
Well, I know you've got your to-do list that you got to do. How can people reach you if they want to learn more about you?
The best way to reach me is by liking my MD Work-Life Balance by Nana Korsah Facebook page. And for women physicians, you can join my Facebook group, Women Physicians for Multiple Streams of Income. So those are the two. And then my website, it's not that current, but you can still get on there, mdworklifebalance.com. So another thing, like taking imperfect action is okay. I started off doing work-life balance. I pivoted to financial coaching. My website is really not strictly about finances, but I'm still doing it. And my Facebook page is not there either. Eventually, it's just going to be my name as my brand. But I'm still getting clients, right? Why? Because I'm putting myself out there and the message has been received. So imperfect action is great. Yeah.
It just has to be good enough. You know, every now and then, you know, I'll get someone, or you misspelled something, you didn't complete a sentence, or, you know.
I do that a lot.
Yeah, and like I was even talking with the Medscape folks, like, oh, I noticed, are you still doing this? Oh, that was like 3 years ago, but I'll change. But, you know, if you've got something that you can help somebody, you've got the solution to somebody, people understand you're of course authentic and you have the solution. People will reach out and find you, and they don't care about that. They want to work with you. They want to know what you can do to help them. And
Exactly.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
And I love being able to share our messages around the world and just doing what we do as doctors, but now you're doing it in a different sense, but you're still helping people who may be struggling and getting them to a better place.
Yes, absolutely.
So before we end, got to give a little bit plug to you speaking at our BootcampMD coming this October. And if you want to join, seats are getting limited now. So you want to go ahead and register, and we'll leave you a link here. Maybe kind of give a sneak peek of what you're going to be talking about when coming up in Atlanta this October.
So I'm going to be talking about how viable it is to be a physician that works from home, whether you're doing clinical work or non-clinical work or non-medical work. That's such a viable option that's available to everyone who wants it, thanks to social media. And so I'll be sharing that and how people can make it happen for themselves. If you can dream it, you can achieve it. So I'll be sharing more on that.
And that's coming to a coffee cup near you pretty soon.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Nana, it's always enjoyable speaking with you. I look forward to having you at the upcoming conference. And any last words before we end our call today?
Before we end our call, I would like to tell your listeners that it's okay to spend money on conferences like what we're about to have. Why? That will help catapult you to the next level, right? If you keep doing more of the same thing, you're going to have more of what you have. Like if you want to take yourself to the next level, then learn from people who have already done it. That is your shortcut to get in there. And so I say that if you are curious about the conference, just sign up and let's see you there, because it's going to be amazing. I know it. Just by watching the videos for the first one, it really has transformed my life. So being there physically will be amazing. You get to mingle with like-minded people or people who've been where you want to be. That's the best kind of shortcut to success.
And that's really why we started these conferences, is because it is doctors helping other doctors or other healthcare professionals. When you go to a typical CME conference, I don't think you're going to get much traction talking about abundance to your urologist buddies or, those kinds of things. They may be, secretly, they may wanted to be talking about it, but you're here, you're at a conference, we're putting our hair down, we're telling you, this is what's working for you, this is what working in our business is, and what can we help you go to the next level? Because, I'm sure you're like me, Nana. I mean, the best pleasure I get is just working with students and getting them to a place, and now they're a much better place. For me, I mean, I assume that's the same for you as well.
I agree, yeah. The money is good, but it's much more fun when you see them winning. And yeah. I just get super excited when I see my clients win. That's what it's all about.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again. Thanks for joining us today. And as always, guys, we want to see you at the conference and keep moving forward.
Yes.
All right.